lobby. Let's all go to the lobby, lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Hello, horror hounds, and welcome to Now Slain, an It Slays podcast production where we review the latest and greatest in the world of horror. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
Hey everybody, it's Jill.
And we're here to talk about Silent Night, Deadly Night, released December 12th, 2025, exclusively in theaters. So before we get started, Jill, tell me, were you looking forward to Silent Night, Deadly Night? Like, did you know about it? Were you anticipating it all year? You were like, oh yeah, like my favorite film franchise being remade. Let us know what your initial thoughts about this releasing, or if you even knew about it.
Yeah, actually, I didn't really know about it. It was nowhere on my radar. I might have seen a trailer of it and forgotten about it, because that's pretty typical for me. Like, I knew it existed, and I was convinced, like the franchise, and I was convinced I had already seen the original, and then I went to go see this movie and I was like, this is not what I thought it was. I definitely did not see the original. So this was actually my first experience with the franchise as a whole. And after this, of course, I ran back home and watched the original. But yeah, now I feel like I'm really into the Christmas horror. You got we just did Christmas Evil. I love that, and definitely see the inspiration in Silent Night, Deadly Night in both of those movies. And I love killer Santa Clauses, man. What can I say? But what about you, Rowan?
Yeah, so this was on my radar. I think we might have talked about this, me and Colton, when we did our What's Coming Out this year. I believe it was already on the calendar by then. I guess for the podcast, notoriously, we have reviewed Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 and 2. Those were Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 was Exilia's last episode on the podcast.
No, it's cursed.
So I don't know if that's good or bad for her, that's what was like the last thing that she was on.
That was her last straw, huh?
Yeah, I mean, she came back for some other appearances, which actually will tie in with the movie we talk about today. Yeah, so I was apprehensive, I guess. Obviously, you know, the especially the first and the second one are like beloved cult, iconic horror movies in general, not just Christmas. And, you know, they're like those movies that shouldn't necessarily work and maybe don't even really work, but because they're like so low budget and you can see all the seams, they're loved because they're like, you know, silly and played super serious. And so I was very curious to see how this was going to be done. And then, of course, I you know, as they were doing the rollout, I was like, oh, it's the Cineverse guys banner doing this. And I, you know, I have mixed feelings on the, you know, Cineverse, you know, the Terrifier guys and a bunch of other stuff they've kind of put their banner on now. So I feel that because of Terrifier, maybe they're kind of associated where I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be like a certain kind of horror movie. Like, I kind of know what I'm going to get. Was I correct in my assumptions of the Cineverse? Or did maybe they surprise me a little? Before we talk about that, let's get into the trailer.
How many people have you killed?
A lot, but they were all bad. Naughty.
You packing, Santa?
Guns are for pussies.
And you have to dress like Santa.
Silent Night, Deadly Night is directed and written by Mike P. Nielsen, and the synopsis is as follows. After witnessing his parents' brutal murder on Christmas Eve, Billy transforms into a killer Santa, delivering a yearly spree of calculated, chilling violence. This year, his blood-soaked mission collides with love as a young woman challenges him to confront his darkness. So here on Now Slaying, we like to start off with the spoiler-free section first. So Jill, what are your initial spoiler-free thoughts on Silent Night, Deadly Night?
Why would you speak about spoiler-free and then just immediately toss it to me when I am notoriously known for ruining everything?
Isn't that the
spoiling
fun,
everything?
really? That's like the fun.
My heart is beating so fast right now. I went into this movie thinking I had already seen the original and I hadn't, so everything was a surprise to me because I had no idea what was going to happen once I realized I did not know the plot at all. I probably saw Silent Night, Violent Night and thought it was the same fucking thing. Honestly, that's probably what happened.
Silent Night, Violent Night.
We watched that like at the same time a couple years ago, I think, right? If I remember correctly.
What's that? I think you made up a name. Silent Night, Violent Night? Oh, you're talking about Violent Night.
I just made up a new fucking title.
Yeah, you're coming up with movies that don't even exist. You're talking about the David Harbour movie.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
And I apologize because it's all Christmas night.
It hit. The second one's coming out like next year or something.
So I thought that's what this was, I think. And it wasn't. And I was like, wow, we've got Batman's origin story, basically. Like it starts off the same way. Is that a spoiler? No, it's not, because you just said it in the synopsis that his family, dies in front of him traumatically as a child.
I mean, and spoilers are kind of weird on this, right? Because I guess like if you've seen the original, there's like some sort of resemblance to that. So we'll try our best, yeah.
But yeah, I was liking where it was going with the kind of origin story. I thought it looked really kind of glossy and fresh, and the gore was excessive in a way that I liked. It looked really nice stylistically. I thought some scenes were really funny. There was a lot of comedic relief, which I don't think was really present in the first one. I think the first one was kind of more serious, and this one is like, it knows what it is. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but I also feel like it is more malicious in ways with like the kills and the gore. I guess you have to be like more graphic for today's audience, but I like the kind of little love story we got. I feel like that was very surprising. Hope that's not a spoiler.
No,
is that a spoiler?
No, it's definitely not a spoiler. It says there's a love story in the synopsis.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, that was really shocking to me, but I love the chemistry of these two actors. What is it, Rowan? Is that his name? Is it Rowan or Rohan? Is it like Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, I think it's like Rohan. Not cool enough to be Rowan, but
Rohan Campbell.
Rohan
from
Campbell.
Halloween Ends.
Yeah.
I really liked him.
That's what I was saying. It had a connective tissue because the original Silent Night, Deadly Night being Exilia's last episode, the double feature there. And then I believe her return to the podcast was she did the Now Slaying of Halloween Ends with me. Because I think me and Exilia were two of the only people in North America that actually were very positive on Halloween Ends.
Okay.
So,
interesting.
We've been supporting Rohan Campbell.
Yeah, he was really great in the role as this like villain kind of killer Santa. I thought he acted kind of like psychopathic, and he was just great in his role. And Ruby Modine, who plays Pamela from Happy Death Day and Shameless, I really love their chemistry on screen, and I thought they really made the movie kind of what it was. I didn't really have anything like really negative to say about the movie. I came out of it, I had a really good time. Of course not. But then I went home and I watched the original, and I was like, wow, they did a lot of things differently. Like, it's less sexual and less sexual exploitation is what I'll say, and the motive is very different for like killing. And also there's like another layer to it that's very different that we can talk about in the spoiler section. But I find it kind of hard to compare the two because they're both so different. Like, I kind of like them separately. Honestly, I would have liked this being its own entity instead of like kind of riding the coattails and being a reboot of that series because it's so different in ways. So in retrospect, if I go back and rewatch this, I think that would probably be like a criticism possibly for me. But apart from that, I had a really good time with it. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with, I definitely agree with that. Like, I think, at least for my taste, they probably would have been better off, like, just kind of making this its own movie. I think other than this very kind of base premise of Billy and kind of his origin, but not, not really. They even kind of twist the origin up a bit. Like, it just doesn't really share a lot of DNA with the original Silent Night, Deadly Night. That I was like, oh, well, you really could have just made this your own movie. And, it like almost felt like kind of cheap to me. Because I was like, oh, you're obviously just like, this is this well-known cult series. I mean, this movie, like, Silent Night, Deadly Night, they have like, what, like 5 of these, 6 of these? There was
6.
a remake.
This is the 7th.
Yeah, because there's also a remake in 2012 that had come out. So, like, this is a very large franchise. And I didn't think it was in conversation as much as the other ones, or at least what I've seen from the franchise. I thought some of it was interesting. It honestly kind of threw me off because there is quite a bit of gore, and I think a lot of the gore effects stuff. I mean, one thing that Cineverse really does well is the gore effects. They really kind of pride themselves in like that brand of, I'm trying to think of a good name to put on it. Like, it's not really exploitation.
Like splatter gore?
Like splatter,
maybe?
yeah. Like, it's like splatter gore with like a taste of like exploitation. But it like, I think other than Terrifier, like
Here we go.
well, no, I just think other than Terrifier, kind of the other stuff they've put their names on hasn't fully been in that exploitation mold. It's more just like the effects and what you come to expect. But I was going to say what kind of surprised me is with all that, I also found it a little less bloody than I expected going in. Because when I went in, I was like, oh, okay. Terrifier boys, like, this is gonna be insane.
Yeah.
I think it was like a step down from insane. I was like, okay, like, you get some
Definitely.
good deaths, but I didn't see, if there was one thing, and I think this is the problem, is, it's always, this production company is always going to be compared to Terrifier. And one thing Terrifier always does is give you something gore-wise you've never seen before.
And for a long time.
Yeah. And this, I was just like, there's not anything I've never seen. It's pretty just on the nose, and I guess that was kind of just odd to me, I guess just my expectations going in. I also agree. I thought Rohan as Billy did a really good job. I thought it was really kind of funny because it's almost the exact same role as Halloween Ends. He's just kind of this like brooding emo guy that's quiet and outcast.
Yeah.
That becomes a killer. Like, I was like, this is kind of exactly Halloween Ends.
He's good at that role for sure.
I thought he did a really good job. I did like the kind of world they built with this. Everything's, a little off. Everyone's a little off. Kind of had like it kind of reminded me of like almost like a Rob Zombie touch or something.
That's an interesting take. I like that.
Yeah, just where like I said, like even innocent characters or bystanders, like everyone's just like kind of weird. And it's just like, so you're always like, oh, okay, like I'm a little unsettled in this town. And maybe you're right to be unsettled in this town. You got to watch it to find out. But I think the big swing that they took in this, I just don't really know if it worked for me. I thought it was gimmicky. I thought it's kind of been done almost in some like very popular media that I was like, this really seems like I know what your influence for this was. And that kind of off-put me quite a bit.
I kind of want to talk about that because, okay, so watching this, I was very confused. So I watched Terrifier 3 like fucking 10 times this month. So that's in the back of my head. And then I watched the original Silent Night, Deadly Night. And then we also covered Christmas Evil. And leading up to this recording, I was getting very confused because so many elements that were in all these other movies were in this movie. But at the same time, I guess there's only so much you can do with like a killer Santa slasher. And this one does end up doing some of its own unique things. But yeah, I was confused because it does kind of stem from an amalgamation of all those movies.
Yeah, it's definitely influenced by all this stuff. And like I said, I respect it trying to do its own thing. I just kind of wish they did it under their own banner, made their own thing. Because I think it could be, in my mind, a lot. I was going to say a lot more successful, but I shouldn't say that because, I feel my opinions on it might actually be the minority. This is like actually doing pretty good.
Oh, is it?
Like critically, like, when you look this up, I think this has like a 78% Rotten Tomatoes score, like, which is pretty good for like this random Christmas slasher. I think critics and audiences in general are actually like this.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, to me, it like you said, we're kind of dancing around because I think of the hard part about talking about this is like kind of the crutch of Billy and Billy's whole deal is like a spoiler of what the whole movie is kind of.
Yeah, let's do it.
Kind of doing. So with that, let's just, Jill, would you recommend people go check this out in theater? Also, was the theater busy? Like, was it busy when you were there? Or?
I kind of spoiled my recommendation on our Christmas Evil episode when I said you should go see this in the theater if you're looking for a holiday movie to go see. I don't know. I just love the idea of during the holidays going to the movies. I think that's so fun. Like around Christmas, just going like just enjoying your free time with your family and stuff. And what better way to celebrate that than a Christmas horror movie, a nice little Christmas slasher, regardless of what it is. And I thought this movie was pretty delightful. I thought it was funny. I thought it was gruesome at times. I thought it was unique. And I really liked the chemistry between the two actors. And I thought it looked really good. And I came out of there having a really good time. So yeah, I am going to recommend going to see this. My theater was completely empty, actually. It was just me and Anthony. But we went at like 1 p.m. Like we always do the matinee showings.
Yeah.
And it's most of the time pretty empty during those, but that's kind of why we go because it's sick just being alone. It's like a private showing. So yeah, no one was there for me. I did have a question though, before I kick it off to you. When you were watching the trailers, how many times did the Silent Hill trailer play for you?
I only saw it once.
Okay. It played twice, like in
nice.
a row for me. And I was like, what the hell? So then I Googled it and apparently other people, it also has been playing like twice for them in theaters or even 3 times. So I think that's really interesting. Silent Hill.
Now, would that be like, I wonder, like, so at the Cineplexes in Canada, before the trailers start, like when you go into the theater.
Yep, like the games and stuff.
They don't do that anymore. They stopped doing that years ago. Yeah, they don't do that anymore. They stopped doing that like a long time ago, like 6-7 years ago.
That is horrendous. That was like my favorite thing ever. I would get there so early.
I used to have so many free movie passes and stuff from those games. Yeah, they stopped doing it because people like me just had like endless free movies. No, but they play like trailers sometimes. Like they'll be just rolling behind the scenes and they'll show trailers. So I could imagine people like them showing like a Silent Hill trailer and then like the lights go down, they're showing the actual trailers. people were pumped when the Silent Hill trailer showed, though. Like,
Uh-huh.
I didn't have a packed theater at all, but there was a handful of us there, and like the people that were there were Silent Hill was their jam. Like they were pumped when that trailer came on.
Fucking nerds. But yeah, it looks sick. But it played twice for me.
So, yeah, in terms of would I recommend it, like this is kind of weird because I seem really down on it, but I probably would recommend it. Like, I think for, we don't get a lot of Christmas horror, and, it was like generally an okay time for me. Like, I wasn't like, oh.
Generally an okay time.
It was generally an okay time. Like, I didn't necessarily regret being there.
Can you please write that as your letterbox review for this movie?
Generally an okay time. Rowan Fraser. It'll be on
I don't regret being there.
It'll be on the Blu-ray when it comes out. It'll be on the cover. So yeah, I'll give it like a mild recommend. So Jill would recommend it, and I would give it a generally okay recommend. So with that, let's cut on over to the spoiler section. We are now in the spoiler section of Silent Night, Deadly Night, so if you haven't seen this movie, you can stop it here, go see the film, come back and listen, or keep going if you simply don't care. So Jill, you're uninhibited now. You can talk about whatever the hell you want.
God, I can't stand it.
Start us off.
Okay, so one of the big things that I couldn't talk about in the spoiler-free section was this kind of psychic connection between Billy and the killer Santa that murdered his family in front of him. And also the killing of his family, while like, I guess, gruesome and traumatizing, I feel like the original is worse. Like, I feel like that was way scarier in the original because like the rape scene was like horrific, and he's like in the bushes like hiding from the Santa, and you think the Santa's gonna get him. So I found it like less scary and traumatizing than the original, but I thought the psychic connection between the killer, that was kind of like this schizophrenic voice telling Billy what to do to kill people who are naughty. So I thought that was creative. It wasn't a bad thing, but it's here where it gets into that kind of fine line where it's like, okay, is this the remake though, or is it a different movie? Should you have made a different movie, or named it differently? But what did you think about the psychic connection? Yeah,
I mean, I don't even know if I still have an opinion on it. It was very bizarre just because, like we said, it's such a departure from the actual Silent Night, Deadly Night movies. Originally, I don't think I loved it. Because I think for me, it almost turned it into less of a horror movie and more of just like a violent action movie. Why? I can't really explain, but like, I just feel like there's something almost like action video gamey about like, it makes them almost like, powerful, too powerful, because like, obviously everyone's kind of, in this film talking about like the iconic scene out of this is him like murdering the room of Nazis and all that stuff. But it's just like all of his scenes where he kills someone or a group of people, it's like he never overly, like he rarely gets hurt because this voiceover is, it's like, oh, turn right, turn left, like, so he's like omnipresent, like he basically knows what's coming to him so he can avoid stuff or he can track people down. And it's just like, yeah, it makes him like superhuman, which obviously, yeah, like, he has the transfer, they explain in the movie that like this has been passed down and all this stuff, but it's just like, yeah, I thought it was a weird gimmick that made it way too actiony.
No, I see where you're coming from with that. Totally, you're right. You don't really fear for him at all in the movie. Like, he always has it under control, and you're supposed to kind of root for this character, the villain in this movie, because we're sympathetic to like his trauma and everything. And also the difference in this movie compared to the original is that the motivation is very different. Like in this movie, he's killing people that we would want him to kill, like that Nazi scene. I thought that was fantastic. Like when that came on, I was like, oh, we're getting silly. We're getting fun. We're going all in on this. So I really love that scene. It was funny. It was campy. It was great. But like I said, they're killing people who you would want to kill, like, because they're awful people. But if you think about the original, he's just kind of killing people for whatever he deems as naughty. And he has a lot of like religious trauma, which is also not in this movie at all. And I also think that's a big departure. And I don't really like that because, like I said, I watched this first. And then when I went back and watched the original and saw like all the like kind of foster care trauma and like the nuns like abusing him and stuff, I was like, this is a backstory that we don't get in the new one at all. You just kind of get him like being this kind of like Dexter character, I guess, is what I would compare it to. And you don't fear for him. And also you don't really get like as close to him. You don't really sympathize with him as much, I feel like, as well, because of that.
Yeah, like I said, it's just, to me, it's really the fact that they're turning Billy into, you know, the protagonist, where like, you know, he's a slasher villain in the original. Like, he's the antagonist. And yeah, I don't know how much I love that. Now, I also didn't love, the dark passenger thing. I'm just like, we get it. Dexter made its comeback this year. I just thought, man, like, Dexter is such a iconic kind of like horror side piece of media. I just feel like they kind of own the dark passenger thing. So like whenever something else tries to use it, I'm just like, you gotta really somehow change this up and make it different. Mm-hmm. And I just didn't think it was very different. I was like, you know, in Dexter, this dark passenger that tells him things, that sometimes shows up as his, you know, father or whoever, also helps him out and tells him how to survive. And I was like, this is exactly the exact same thing. It was basically, to me, I just felt like someone was like, hey, I really like Dexter, and you're going to let me have this franchise. Why don't I just kind of mix the two?
Yeah, definitely. And then, like you said earlier, with that supernatural element, funny that we were talking about Terrifier earlier, because that's like very much in the same wheelhouse of having a slasher, but also incorporating all these supernatural, like demonic elements, so that your antagonist or like villain is one that you don't really fear for because they're kind of invincible, sort of thing. Like you said, all those powers and everything. So I think that's also like a big choice because that's pretty absent in the original as well. He's just a guy with trauma.
It's always about a boy with trauma, right?
It sure is, man.
I'll say, too, like, the relationship with Pam, I thought was interesting. So the relationship with Pam, I also felt was very Rob Zombie-ish. You know, it's very, very, like, you know, oh, you find this, like, kindred spirit that also seems to be a little psychotic. Okay with violence, and, you know, it builds up and it builds up. So I did think that was interesting because obviously, you know, I think my biggest groan with this, not to like skip right to that, but like my biggest groan with this is obviously they set this up as like, we can franchise the shit out of this.
Okay. Yeah, because you can keep going, you know, with the reincarnations.
Which they do, where you know, Billy does die at the end and then transfers it to Pam. And then Charlie is now the voice in Pam's head. And I, like, to me, I was just like, you motherfucker. Like,
was it Charlie's voice or Billy's voice in her head?
Or Billy, sorry.
Or
Billy
both.
is who I meant. Yeah, it was Billy's voice. So I was like, oh, here we go. Like, now these guys are like, perfect. We can make one of these every year if we want to.
They could.
You know, and maybe they won't. And if they don't, I don't know if I still don't really like the idea, but whatever. But I'm just like, it's just like such a cheap way to be like, hey, like it felt cheap. I was like, oh, okay. Like you're like, if this pops off, we can make a couple more of these.
I didn't think of it that way when I saw it. When I saw it, I was like, oh, this is fucking bonkers. But I see what you mean, especially with Pam being such a good character. I really liked her in the movie because she was like kind of relatable. And like you said, everyone in the town is a little bit off. And then you find out that she like just loses it sometimes. But like, she's got mental illness. It's just like Billy, but he's got a little something extra going on. I really love them as a pair, but I wouldn't necessarily want another one of these movies. I think it's fine being left as is.
No, and I agree. I was like, I think as a standalone, it's far better than if this is going to be like something of a series. I just don't have any faith in the Cineverse to not touch this.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, I did think some of the kills were cool. Like I said, I thought some of the kills were bloody. When he, when he tracks down like the old guy that keeps visiting the store and then like gets him with the axe in the head. And I thought that was great, and especially where it pays off later with his family, like coming to his house and then he's been there a little bit and, smelling zesty.
Oh my God.
Like I thought that was pretty good. I thought that was kind of funny, but like I said, it's just, to me, it was interesting because they took such a big swing with this dark passenger voice in the head, basically narration, because we're hearing it as a viewer.
Yeah.
And I felt like a lot of the kill stuff was so safe. I was like, I would have liked to see them do some crazy stuff kill-wise, too. If you're going to swing for the fences everywhere, where I was like, there's a lot of body count in this. And let's be realistic, most of the body count is this trapping Nazis in a room kind of, which, I see a lot of people online are just like, oh yeah, this scene, like, fuck yeah, whatever. I mean, to me, that scene, I was like, this... It makes literally no. I'm like, it's so out of place in the story that it's just like randomly this lady that he meets.
Hey, you said everyone in this town is a little off. That's because it's full of white supremacists and Nazis.
Everybody is a white supremacist Nazi or like a pedophile and kidnapper.
Like her. The cop being like the grabber, assaulter kind of guy. Snatcher, is that what they called him?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I'm glad he got. But yeah, it was doing its own thing. I think, like you said, it was pretty safe, especially being in that same wheelhouse as Terrifier. The Nazi scene could have been a lot bloodier and messier. And I think it does also kind of lean on very much like a psychological thriller kind of side.
Yeah.
More than like, the slasher that it should be, probably.
I definitely would probably agree with that. I guess my other real issue with this is just, we got a Nazi killing scene. I thought the axe in the head was okay.
I like that scene a lot.
I thought that was one of the better scenes. And even at the very beginning with his parents killing the grandfather and that adding that trauma to it, a lot of trauma in this.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like it was kind of like, it was just kind of empty. Like I said, I didn't think any of the kills were overly memorable other than they're just kind of there to fill time. They're not necessarily expanding the story. Like, obviously, they have this, like, side plot with the advent calendar.
Uh-huh.
Which I kind of like the idea. I thought the visual was cool. Like, oh, him. I mean, let's be realistic. Yet another thing taken from Dexter of him, instead of blood slides and keeping them, he's just putting like blood in this advent calendar. But the advent calendar is like all grungy and he's obviously done it like so many years or whatever.
I do like that. I wish they did more of that, like more Christmas themed stuff, like Christmas Evil.
Yeah, it just, like, to me, it just didn't really, other than, okay, he does the advent calendar because in December he's going to start killing people, like, they just, all the scenes of the advent calendar, they made seem really like ominous and evil. So I was like, okay, is this advent calendar like some sort of like witchcraft or like something evil? And I just thought there was no real explanation into like why this advent calendar.
That would be fucking sick. Like a Book of the Dead, but it's an advent calendar.
Yeah,
and
I
it
mean, like
compels
something
you
like
to
that.
kill. Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's the other thing too, right? Because other than this transference, like, we don't know a lot about that. We just don't know a lot about the world in general, which also makes me be like, fuck, like, we're going to expand this is going to be Terrifier all again. We're going to
stop it.
Expand, make them longer, explore the lore and the myths.
Okay, here's the thing though about Terrifier. It really like delivers on that gore and the kills, and it goes the places that you want it to go or don't want it to go depending on who you are. So that I don't mind them expanding on the lore that, they're working hard to put that in there. But here I don't think it's good enough to try to do that.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. Now, I will say, I guess if you're looking or wondering, is there like some fan service? I mean, to me, they had 2 big fan service moments in this. I think the biggest one is when we get the flashback of him as a teenager in the foster home, and he kills her by putting her on the antlers on the wall.
Yeah.
Which is like an iconic scene from the first one with, horror goddess Linnea Quigley. That was her iconic scene from that. And then, we get the kind of funny quip when he's working in the restaurant where the guy's like, hey, it's garbage day. And I get what they're trying to do. I did groan a little bit at it because I was just like, just because some random guy says it, I guess I was like, is it really? It's not that good of a red. Like, they should have done something more iconic for it, I think. Just because, to me, out of 1 and 2, like, I mean, it's garbage day is like an internet meme. It's like a famous meme. And then they just kind of like brush by it, and it's just like, it's garbage day, bud.
It's just like flat.
Yeah. I was like, okay. But though, I was going to say, those are the 2 fan service things I noticed. Yeah. Did you have anything else
Nope.
wise on this? I mean, honestly, like I said, we talked about kind of all the big stuff. You can't even really get into the Nazi killing thing because there's not a lot to say. It's just, him with an axe killing Nazis in a room. Like, there's nothing like extraordinary or remarkable or really memorable to me of it. He's just
it was just kind of like
axes
out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, I did not expect that to happen. And also just like watching this in like Trump America, I just really needed this win. So I was very happy to see it.
It's good for that. It'll give you the support for that. Well, with that, why don't we go to rating this? So if you're new to the program, our rating system is nay, okay, yay, or slay. Jill, what would you rate 2025's Silent Night, Deadly Night?
I'm going to give Silent Night, Deadly Night a yay because I don't think it's perfect by any means, but it was a fun time. I think I liked it even more because I saw it before I saw the original. So I didn't have like any preconceived notions going into this. So I just went in and had a good time. It's fun. It's a fun holiday Christmas slasher. I love holiday horror, so that's kind of up my alley. So yeah, I had a really good time watching it. It was funny, like I said. I liked the gore. I liked the acting. I liked the Nazi scene. I thought it was a bit different doing the psychic connection and kind of, like you said, the dark passenger thing. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't think they should have made it Silent Night, Deadly Night as a reboot. I think they should have just tried to kind of lean into their own thing. Like, you can make another Killer Santa movie and make it your own thing. There's so many out there. No one's going to be mad if you, want to do something different over there. But I think it does bring it down a little bit. But what about you, Rowan?
I think I'm going to land on an okay. There was some cool stuff in it. And, for, like I said, there's just not a lot of winter horror movies. So, especially not like violent slasher type stuff. So it's always cool when you get a new one of that. But I think the story was kind of lacking. I think it thought it was really original. I think it was derivative of a lot of influences maybe that I had talked about earlier. Like we said, I thought Rohan did a really good job. I thought the two main leads, Pam and Billy, were really good. I did like them as characters. I thought they were likable. I didn't love that. I think they're going to try to make 80 of these as sequels. But yeah, I mean, this is almost one of those ones I feel like maybe I got to watch again and just kind of see how it sits with me again. But I think I'm going to rest on an okay this time for me. So an okay and a yay. And if you're not following us on social media and you want to, you can do so by following us at It Slays Podcast. Pretty much everywhere. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Bluesky, Letterboxd, Tumblr, TikTok, Threads, Slasher, YouTube. I mean, we're everywhere. Pretty much if there's a social media, we're there at It Slays Podcast. Jill, why don't you tell the lovely people how they can find our Patreon and become horror hounds?
Like you said, Rowan, we're everywhere, and we're on Patreon, baby. So if you want to become a horror hound like Holly, Nicholas, Sacrotype, Dan, Brian, Trevor, and James, head on over to Patreon. We're there as It Slays Podcast, and choose the tier that works best for you. Benefits include early access to episodes, access to our Patreon exclusive show, Stream Screams, which we're going to be adding new content to very soon.
Oh, yeah.
And, become a horror hound. 'Tis the season. I don't recall any, soundtracks or music. It's honestly, I watched this movie over a week ago and I don't remember a lot of it. So is anything making the horrific playlist?
I highly doubt anything's making the playlist from this. I looked and I saw it says there's a lot of Christmas music in it, but I don't overly remember anything. So if it's not memorable, it can't make the playlist. But you can find out what does make the playlist by going to Spotify, going to the It Slays Podcast Horrific Playlist. If you have any problems finding it, you can go to any of the social media that I just mentioned and go into the bio, click the Linktree link, and it'll take you directly there. We upload scores or licensed music from iconic horror movies we review, or just horror movies we love. We update it regularly. So get your spooky music on, because why the hell not? And with that, coming up next, we'll see. I know for one thing's for sure, hopefully next episode, I won't be so out of it. Your boy's got COVID, so that's why I sound so terrible in this episode. Yeah, I think the next thing that we're probably going to talk about, I would imagine, is Primate. Maybe. I definitely want to talk about Primate.
Yeah, I'm not doing that one.
So definitely there's some stuff coming out in January. We got Primate, we got 28 Years Later, the new one, we got the new Silent Hill movie. There's stuff coming. So the new year is going to be filled with now slayings. So with that, as always, thank you for all the support. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
Bye, it's Jill.
And if you keep listening, we'll keep slaying.